working with me on the website a little bit?
Yeah, we can.
Thank you.
Okay, are you able to talk to me? Can you give me a mic check real quick? Okay, yeah. All right, cool. So I have the Discord audio muted, so I cannot hear you because we're on the air for another 3.5 minutes. Um, let's see here.
I'm Ryan Newman, and since I started with Indiana Donor Network and Driven to Save Lives, I found out that some people think that they can't be an organ donor. The truth is, anyone can sign up to be an organ donor.
Anyone?
Anyone?
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Anyone can sign up to be an organ donor. So don't count yourself out because somebody's counting on you. Go to driventosavelives.org and sign up today.
But my heart's going to you, Ryan.
Love that shirt.
Have you joined the fastest growing fantasy motorsports app yet? On Grid Rival, you can join leagues with your friends and manage your own fantasy team on what race fans are calling, hands down, the best fantasy motorsport app out there. F1 and MotoGP leagues are now live for the 2021 season. Joining a league on Grid Rival will make every race more exciting, more engaging, and of course, more competitive. Download Grid Rival now on your iPhone or Android smartphone. Grid Rival is an unofficial application and not associated with Formula One, MotoGP, or any of their athletes.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Sin City, Las Vegas, Nevada, and Las Vegas Motor Speedway, where tonight the High Slide Cup Series will take on the final race of the first round of the playoffs. Looking forward to an action-packed race this evening. As it stands right now, Greg Holt, Joseph Causey, Christian Converse, Nick Lockard, Wendell Elliott, Cody Henderson, Alan Martin, Nathan Aldrich, Donnell Williams, and Mark McCurdy are the drivers that are in the playoffs. And the only ones that have locked in, I believe so far, Greg Holt, Joseph Causey to this point with wins. Excuse me, Nick Lockard and Greg Holt have locked themselves in to the round of 8 with wins. As always, I am joined in the booth by Mr. James Watson. Patrick Byrne is, we'll say, on assignment. Patrick, I hope you're feeling okay, bud. He got, well, absolutely drilled driving back to New York from Ohio this weekend. So hope you're feeling well. Hope you enjoy the show here tonight, bud, if you get a chance to tune in.
And a moment of silence for his fit.
Yes, for the world's worst sounding Honda Fit. Yes. Let's get you
We're shifting too. Good God.
Yeah. Down to, actually, we've got about 8 minutes left here in practice. 1 hour and 10 minutes on the clock in total here. Alan Martin setting the quick time, 29.759 seconds. Jeremy Gibbs, Christian Converse, Wendell Elliott, Darrell Rector, your top 5. Greg Holt, not in the show this evening, at least not that we're seeing anyway. Nick Lockard also not in the show. In fact, he's going to miss, I think, next week as well, potentially the next 2 weeks. He may be one and done to try to get into the finals of the High Slide Cup Series playoffs.
If I remember what he told us correctly from his interview, I think he said he was missing the whole first round besides the race he won and would be back for round 2, but my memory is doo-doo, so what do I know?
Well, I was going to say, mine can be just as bad here. So we'll see. However, one way or the other, no matter what way you look at it, Nick Lockard is going to be in a bit of a hole here because you got to be able to earn points through these races. So you win a stage, that gets you a playoff point that's going to stick through to the next round. When you get to the reseeding, you need those playoff points and those stage points, and Nick Lockard just quite frankly isn't going to have them. Pick up the number 2 here of Jeremy Gibbs as he makes his way down the Nellis Straightaway, named after Nellis Air Force Base, which literally sits right out the back, right off the back stretch of the Las Vegas Motor Speedway is where you will find Nellis Air Force Base. No surprise in some of the names that we've seen at the front here. Christian Converse in 3rd, Wendell Elliott in the 4th position. Those cars have been quick all season long. I don't know that we can say the same thing here about Alan Martin, Jeremy Gibbs. Those are a couple of newer names. Oh, wow.
Ow, good gracious.
I say there's one way to bin a race car.
Sheesh.
Peter Hodgson with a bunch of damage on that car. Let's run you through the rules of the race for this evening. Stage number 1 is going to be 30 laps long, and we will have a caution flag at the end of lap number 30. Stage number 2 will run to lap 60, but will be a green flag stage break. So they'll award the points and everything else as the field runs at the conclusion of lap number 60. And then the race will end at lap 150. Big thing that's going to come into play here, though, James, is the fact that these drivers do not have a backup car at their disposal. So some of the carnage that we saw at races like Kansas and Charlotte, you're not going to have that tonight without really screwing up everybody else, too.
So it makes you wonder if they're going to think twice about how aggressive they are on some of these moves, especially with the end of the playoff round upon us.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see one way or the other here. Seeing Daryl Rector checking in the comments. This is going to be fun. Daryl currently is he in the race tonight here?
Yeah, he's fifth.
Actually, he's fifth on the racetrack here, sending us comments from the race car. Keep your eye on that number 51 machine. They're one of the Locker.it cars. And while we have a minute here, let's get all the big sponsor plugs and thank yous out of the way. Have to say a huge thank you to Hot Shoe Racewear. Check them online at hotshoeracewear.com. Let Alan and the team know that NRN sent you for the best in racewear, workwear, streetwear, don't matter what it is. Embroidery, screen printing, sublimation, they do it all. A couple of fantastic banners for the High Side Hustle show that we have here every Wednesday night. Really fantastic stuff. Check them out online at hotshoeracewear.com. Also, Zone Garage of Eastern Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Agnes and her whole crew will have your garage, shop, your basement, even your porch looking great year in and year out. Find them on Facebook at Zone Garage of Eastern Pennsylvania and New Jersey. Ray's Import out of Smithfield, Virginia. The best in import auto repair. ASE certified technicians. The latest and greatest in tools, technology, and know-how. Check them out online at Ray's Import. Do the search on the Google box. Check them out on Facebook. You can get your appointments booked right online. Locker.it offers offensive and defensive network and infrastructure security solutions. Check them out at locker.it to get started. Also have to say a big thank you to Aquatic Express Pool Service, providing not only services for your pool, but also all the supplies, entertainment, the fun and games and frivolity that comes with owning a pool. Check them out online at aquaticexpress.com. So we're getting ready to go here, James. Still got about 8 minutes left in practice. But what are we thinking of storylines here? This is the last round, or last race of the first round of the playoffs. It really now is put up or shut up time at this point, I would think would be probably the biggest story.
So you're going to see a heck of a lot of desperation. And given how close everyone is going to be with the package and how much of a disaster some of the previous mile-and-a-half races are, we're going to be in for a doozy, that's for sure. There's going to be a lot on the line, and people are going to be trying to take it.
See in the comments, Rescue Junkie 01 saying it will be fun. This one's going to absolutely be a show here tonight. Andrew Chapman, I'm here to gobble up the field tonight. Well, if you start up front, there's not a lot that you have to gobble up, right? I mean, that's the other big storyline here is qualifying is going to be very important. This is not an ultra new racetrack that has, unlimited grip and no tire wear and all that kind of stuff. You're really talking about a racetrack that is worn in and almost beat up a little bit here. Tire wear is going to make a difference. Fuel mileage, who can save the most fuel, that's going to be absolutely critical tonight too.
Yep. Unless the field dies a very grisly death, I feel like we're going to be seeing another fuel mileage race like we've seen. And also, can I just point out how impressive that pun was from Andrew Chapman, knowing that he still probably has the Virginia Tech paint scheme on, and that's the sole reason why he made that pun? Bravo, sir, bravo.
Yes, let's. I can't call them what we call Hokies up here in Pennsylvania, but that may get us banned from YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and everything else. Seeing only a couple of cars left out here on the racetrack. One of those is your quick timer, Alan Martin. He's turned a bunch of laps here. 30, almost 31 laps here in practice. Your high mark, Brian Shaw, 56 laps. Evan Kelsey's turned 63. Danny Lawson on a 51 lap total. Some of these drivers, I think, may be trying that limit of how far can we go on fuel here. Knowing that number exactly is very, very important.
Yeah, it does my heart good to see guys out there doing fuel runs. You need to learn as much as you can. I can't tell you how many times I've won a race off of a good strategy and how many times I've lost a race off a bad strategy. The viewers at home on this channel have seen that a couple times.
I was going to say, we've watched you win races, we've watched you lose races.
Ezra Phoenix, never forget.
So now as we start to look ahead here at what the rest of the schedule has in store for us here. Next round of the playoffs will be, let's see. I'm thinking probably, only because the number of races doesn't line up correctly here. Looks like Pocono Auto Club, New Hampshire, and Chicagoland. Because that would leave you down to one race shootout. That would be your round of 4. It may even be 2 races for a round of 10, a round of 8, round of 4, something along those lines, depending on how they're going to cut the field down. But we've got some interesting racetracks coming up here. We head to the Tricky Triangle next week. That is about as unique of a racetrack as you're going to find. Then we go to Auto Club, very similar to Michigan that we ran last week. New Hampshire, again, unlike anything, but Chicagoland and Texas to close out the season. How you perform tonight and the setup knowledge is really going to transfer over to late in the season.
Yeah, and I just love the fact of how they have their playoff schedule set up. That's what I think the playoffs need to be. A huge, diverse set of tracks to really show who's the best. Because if it's like the Cup Series, the real life Cup Series, and more mile and a halves, it kind of waters it down even more than it is, because you kind of only have to be really good at one specific track type. Where in this series, you have to be good at a bunch of different ones to bring home the title.
Another interesting thing we're seeing in practice here, practicing a group of cars, practicing the starts and restarts, that tells you how critical these things are going to be here tonight.
Yeah, that's very smart. I'm surprised more leagues don't do that. Another league that I'm involved in, we always do pit parties to practice starts, and it's really good practice to know what to expect when the tires are cold and everyone's behind you. And it's good to get all the crashes out, because at this point in that league, it's kind of tradition for me killing the field on a pit party. So I don't do it during the race, which I haven't. I have not killed anyone in that league during the race. But in practice, everybody dies.
And looking here at Tyler Toller and the 710 of Cody Henderson working side by side down the back straightaway. This is one of those races where you really can't have the mistakes, and practicing in the group is probably more important, because with the low horsepower, high downforce package, this could darn well be a pack race tonight.
It's gonna be a pack race. I've said it a million times every time we come to a mile and a half. It's specifically set up for a pack race. And that's why the mile and a half always end up in chaos. This is exactly what NASCAR envisioned when they designed this package. And the... Oh, speaking of... Woo, that was a nice save by the 48.
Yeah, Andrew Schroeder was sideways down the back straightaway. He had, well, we'll say an interesting week last week. Taking a look here at least trying to see some of the info here. I don't see any EOL or pre-race penalties or anything like that for any of these drivers. So, I mean, it really boils down to be smart, but learn what the limit is here.
Mm-hmm. You are correct.
There is Andrew Chapman in the Virginia Tech Hokie. Hokies are a gelding flightless bird of the turkey variety. Yes. We're going to start that one already. Checkered flag is out on the practice session. Alan Martin going to be your quick timer. Jeremy Gibbs, Christian Converse, Taylor Toller, Wendell Elliott, the top 5 here in practice. And we're going to get ready to go qualifying. 2 laps to set the field. See who the first car to make their way out onto the racetrack will be. And single car qualifications here. Looks like it will be the number 51 Locker.IT Ford Mustang of Darrell Rector. Alan Martin, Robert Thorns also making their way out onto the racetrack. Wendell Elliott, Donnell Williams getting out onto the speedway as well. You'll see these cars dip below that line on the apron, trying to pick up as much speed as possible here as they work their qualification laps. You see the purple at the bottom of your screen. That means Darrell Rector has set the fastest time in the first sector. You see Robert Thorns going quick in the second sector. Obviously, Darrell Rector, the first car to set a lap. He will top the charts at 30.23 seconds. Alan Martin's first lap going to be about a quarter of a second slower. Andrew Schroeder timing in about half a second behind Darrell Rector's lap time. Donnell Williams going to move up to third on the speed charts. Andrew Chapman, Wendell Elliott inside your top 6. Darrell Rector's going to shut it down. He goes even faster, 30.12 seconds, 30.12. Pick up the 36 of Robert Thorns. He's gone to second quick on the speed charts. Not anymore. Andrew Chapman, Andrew Schroeder going to move up to the top 3 positions here. Everybody still chasing down Darrell Rector. He shuts things off. We'll pick up the 710 of Cody Henderson. Henderson 8th quick after lap number 1. See what he's going to be able to do here on lap number 2 as he works his way off at turn number 4. Personal best in the first half of the racetrack. See what he does on lap 2. 5th quick at 30.20 seconds. Pick up the 2 with Jeremy Gibbs as he makes his way into turn number 1 on his second qualification lap. Good run for Nathan Aldrich. He moves up to the 4th position. Evan Kelsey moves up to the 5th position. Jason Miz second quick, 30.139 seconds at the conclusion of lap number 2. See what Gibbs is going to be able to do here. Lap number 2. He jumps up to the 10th position, 30.261 seconds. Here is the 19 of Christian Converse. And the way Converse is kind of running around down to the inside here, That's sort of some of the qualifying hack type stuff that we've seen where you're kind of riding the brakes, weaving the car around back and forth. Basically, you're locking up. You hold the brakes just enough so the left front locks. You're going to generate a ton of heat and really get the thing up to temperature pretty quickly.
Yeah, but let's just say it's frowned upon by the powers that be at iRacing. So Christian Converse is probably wishing that we weren't showing this.
Yeah, when you're in an official series race, that will get you protested. I mean, that can even get you a temporary ban from the service.
Oh, it has, and it can, and it will. I've seen it. I've been around a few unfortunate folks that have gotten slapped with it. They don't play around.
Let's see what Converse is going to do here on lap number 1. Running the high lane through turns 1 and 2. This will not be a pole lap. He's trying to get the tires up to temperature, the engine oil up to temperature. You really want everything kind of right in that sweet spot, and then you really lay the hammer down on lap number 2. Converse all the way down to the apron. He will start his, well, we'll say hammer down lap here. 30.711 seconds the lap time for Christian Converse. He goes fastest first half of the racetrack. Andrew Chapman, the Boo Birds are already out. Well done, sir. Off of turn number 4. See what Converse is going to be able to do here on lap number 2. Quick time, 30.024 seconds. He finds a full 1/10 of a second over the 51 of Darrell Rector. Christian Converse will lead the field to the green flag here this evening. Still have 3 cars or so that will be able to attempt a qualification run. Taking a look here at the 96 machine of Jeff Converse. Alarm Technology Security Solutions, one of the premier partners of the High Slide Cup Series, on board that Chevrolet Camaro. Well, and then Trading Paints decides to refresh, and we get a new look on the 92. So we'll keep an eye on anybody else that may have seen their car liveries change on us. But as we get ready to go here, James, it really is going to kind of break down into some pretty simple math here for this race this evening. Doing the quickie math here on the pit windows. Looks like it's going to be fairly smooth here as Jeff Converse goes up to 7th quick on the speed charts. Could be a 3-stop race. Stops at lap number 31. That'll get you to lap 70. 71 gets you to 110. And then the stop at lap 111 will get you out to the 150 lap distance here. The math says it's easy. The reality is, depending on when the caution flags fly, it really could be very early that we see some of these windows open up.
Yep, gonna be another race chock full of absolute pit strategy shenanigans. I can't wait.
Yeah, I think this one may turn out to be pretty fun here as we wrap up our High Slide Cup Series pre-race show. We'll get you down to the grid here in just a moment. First, let's get you our weather conditions currently courtesy of the fine folks at the Weather Center. Offensively accurate weather. 65-degree ambient temperature, winds out of the north at 3 miles an hour. 66-degree track temperature. And what does that speak to in terms of handling, setups, and even potentially tire wear?
A cooler track is going to make it a lot easier. You're going to be sliding a lot less, which means you're going to be scrubbing the tires a lot less, which means the tires wear a lot less. So this is the ideal conditions for a decent race as far as tire wear. Vegas can be a little mean on the tires, but the conditions should definitely help how much they get shredded. Probably not going to be nearly as much Swiss cheese as it would if we were running right in the day with the desert sun baking all over the track.
I would imagine one of the other things that comes into play there, though, is at a 60-some degree track temperature, it takes a little bit longer to get everything up to temp. You've really got to work to get those tires warm. Might be more than the first lap. Maybe the first 2 to 3 laps is where you really have to be careful.
Yeah, fortune is going to favor the bold, and who decides to romp on it early, and who has faith that they can handle the car if it's too hard on too cold the tires.
Take a look here as the field starts to slot into their grid positions. Let's get you the starting lineup for tonight's 150-lap feature event here for the High Slide Cup Series at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Christian Converse is your pole sitter with a lap time of 30.024 seconds. Just about 1/10 back is Darrell Rector, who will start on the outside of row number 1. Jason Miz and Andrew Chapman on row number 2. Row 3 will have Robert Thorns and Nathan Aldrich. Row 4, Jeff Converse and Evan Kelsey. Row 5, Wendell Elliott and Cody Henderson. Andrew Schroeder, Jeremy Gibbs on row 6. Row 7, Alan Martin and Taylor Toller. Row 8, Peter Hodgson and Donnell Williams. Row number 9, Mike Pittman Jr. and Brian Shaw. Garrett Velzy and Danny Lawson will make up the 10th and final row here this evening. And I tell you what, James, how about row number 5 back there? Wendell Elliott and Cody Henderson. I'm pretty sure we know where the show will be coming from this evening.
Oh, yeah. Cody's going to be coming with a full head of steam on this.
All of the cars have taken their positions on the starting grid, and we're going to get ready to go here and roll off. Christian Converse, Darrell Rector will make up the front row as the iRacing safety car pulls off and gets the field underway here. Track's over 1 mile in length. We will have a single pace lap. So we're going to be coming to the green here pretty darn quickly. When you're in these playoff situations, James, especially these kind of advance or go home races, what's your thought process as a driver, both as a playoff competitor and as somebody on the outside looking in?
Well, as someone on the outside looking in, you're a little nervous because you don't want to do something stupid and risk ruining someone's hopes for a championship. That's one of the worst feelings you can have as a competitor. As someone in the playoffs and desperate to move on, it's stressful. It's a major gut check moment. It's where you kind of figure out what you have as a driver, a person, and a competitor. So, and whether or not you can rise to the occasion.
The field's off of turn number 4. 150 laps will settle who moves on in the High Slide Cup Series playoffs. And as always, race fans, the first lap of tonight's race is all yours. Off of turn number 4, lap number 1 goes on the scoreboard. It belongs to Christian Converse. He's going to have Jason Miz in tow as they work their way through turns 1 and 2. Everybody pretty well single file here. You got to get a little bit further back in the pack. Find Evan Kelsey and Alan Martin running side by side. You weren't lying when you called this a pack race from the very beginning. 3 wide through the middle of 1 and 2. Darrell Rector down to the inside. Cody Henderson shot the gap.
Yeah, I wasn't lying when I said Cody Henderson was going to be coming with a full head of steam. Good gracious.
Absolutely no screwing around there by the 710. How about the 4 of Wendell Elliott, though? He's already come from row number 5 to run in the 4th position. He was incredibly aggressive on the start. We'll get you a replay of that one because that start was absolutely monstrous for Wendell Elliott. Keep your eye on the inside lane, that number 4 Performance Sim Sport Chevrolet, and excuse me, that's a Ford Mustang that Wendell Elliott is piloting. Everybody starts to get it wound up, and that number 4 machine just absolutely comes alive off the corner. Picks off Aldrich and Chapman through 1 and 2, comes around Darrell Rector in the 51. That car absolutely hauling the mail. Fantastic start there for Wendell Elliott. He now runs in the 3rd position, and it's 3 Performance Sim Sport entries at the front of the field. No real surprises there, James.
Nope. Cream of the crop always seems to rise to the top.
Feels like this may be turning into the puns and cliches broadcast. I kick things off with the mention of Sin City. Andrew Chapman throwing him out in the comments. James getting on board with the cream rising to the top cliche. Well done, everybody. We are making this sound as professional athlete as we possibly can here this evening. Side-by-side battle, Jason Miz, Jeff Converse off of turn 2. Miz on the outside, Converse to the inside. He has to slot back in line. And now, James, this is really something that you may be able to speak to here. Even if you're breaking away a little bit at the front of the field, you still can be in a little bit of a fuel conservation mode just because you're making more speed than everybody else.
Yeah, but the effectiveness really limits itself how far away you are from the pack. Because you're losing the speed from the draft, so you have to put more throttle into it to try to keep up. Otherwise, trying to run half throttle and save fuel, you're going to lose much more time. And especially if you're looking like Robert Thorens, he's not that far out of the main pack, but he's the car ahead of his pack. So he has all the air pushing down on him, and he's losing all that fuel trying to put more throttle into it to try to maintain pace. Where the 4 and the 24, they got it made because they're right up on the 19. They're able to save a heck of a lot more fuel and still keep the gap. The person that's really getting screwed over right now is the 19. He can't save any fuel.
Looking at this fight side by side, the 14 and Nathan Aldrich, the 36 are Robert Thorns. They'll battle. They're going to have Cody Henderson, Andrew Schroeder, and Daryl Rector. Dustin Rector checking into the comments saying, let's go Rector 1. So no surprises here, I guess, early on, James. The Performance Sim Sport cars have gotten to the front, and everybody's starting to settle in here. This has been the pattern. If you don't have a wreck in the first couple of laps, we'll go an entire green flag run without a caution flag. It's late that all the carnage tends to happen. If you get that incident in the first handful of laps, then it seems like it's just a mess until you whittle the field down.
Yeah, but looking at some of the moves they're making, it really doesn't feel like we're that far away from a mass chaos.
Alan Martin, Brian Shaw were side by side through basically down the backstretch through 3 and 4, now down the front straightaway. We are seeing a ton of cars that are really just kind of getting in and out, moving around all over the place. Schroeder almost getting up into Evan Kelsey as they got off of turn number 4. And excuse me, James, I would imagine late in the run here, you're really going to start to see that push come into effect in a very big way.
Yes, sir. The tires are going to be dead. The dirty air coming from the high downforce package is going to wreak even more havoc. Bad things are going to happen because you cannot control this car when it's worn. And Vegas just kills the tires easy. I don't know what it is, and just kind of mile and a half in the current gen car as it is, it's just hard to conserve tires. So we're going to see a lot of suffering drivers here before the stage break.
I would imagine some of that comes down to the high downforce nature of the package. The cars are, I mean, now it's nothing compared to the open wheel cars and that stuff, but in terms of full body stock cars, they're generating a ton of downward force. You're talking about that's, no matter how much you try to slow yourself down to save tires, you're still scrubbing across the racetrack.
Yep, and when you're taking away downforce from something that already has the aerodynamic profile of a brick, it's just exacerbates the issue 1,000 times more.
Andrew Chapman and the 92 with Jeff Converse battling side by side. Cody Henderson right back behind them. Henderson, one of our playoff drivers. This is where I would imagine you really have to be pretty conservative in your thought process here. Don't get yourself in a world of trouble unless it's like absolute critical emergency type stuff.
Yep, you really got to weigh the risk versus the reward.
Not sure how much risk analysis is going on here in the middle of the pack. Chapman and Converse continue side by side. Cody Henderson almost got into the corner of the 92, and he's going to have Robert Thorns and Nathan Aldrich side by side behind him. I mean, this was contact.
There it is.
Hard into the outside wall. Evan Kelsey going to be involved. The 20 of Taylor Toller, the 82 of Donnell Williams also involved. Caution flag number 1 is out here at lap number 20.
Sad gobble noises.
Yeah, that turkey's cooked. Alan Martin had a pretty big hit into the outside retaining wall as well. How about Jeremy Gibbs? Let's get you an onboard look here. Jeremy Gibbs was about the smartest driver in this entire thing here. I just got to find where he is. There we go. Let's go on board with Jeremy Gibbs. Look at that. Already way out of the throttle.
I'm pretty sure what's going through his mind, PC version, of course, is nope, 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 nope. Okay, we're good.
First round of pit stops going to be underway. This is where we'll start to see the split strategies come in. Jason Miz, Darrell Rector, Taylor Toller, Alan Martin, Donnell Williams, Jeremy Gibbs, Danny Lawson, Garrett Velzy, Evan Kelsey, Andrew Chapman, all on the pit road. Some of those cars involved in the incident. However, your first stop coming at lap number 20 looks like you're going to get to about a maximum of lap number 60. And this may be where the logic is coming into play here, James, because you're basically locking yourself into a 4-stop race. There's really no way to get to the finish unless you get a ton of cautions without making that additional pit stop.
Yeah. Those banking on the cautions, it's not necessarily a bad decision given what we've seen, but it is risky because you never know how things are going to fall.
Take a look here. We're going to pull up Andrew Chapman and get you another look here at the incident. May have been, I don't know that he got turned, may have been a little bit of net code. By the way, the cars kind of got inside of each other.
Yeah, a little bit of iRacing physics trickery.
I don't know that was net. That was not pure net code. We'll say it that way.
Yeah, God, man, that car hit harder than the average Virginia Tech football and basketball season. Good golly.
If only they had a place like Linebacker U they could go to learn to hit. Anyway. I only say that because of how much money we're paying Penn State University every year. Anyway, get ready to go back to Green Flag Racing here, lap number 22. Christian Converse, Wendell Elliott will make up the front row. Jeff Converse, Cody Henderson on row number 2. Row 3, Nathan Aldrich and Robert Thorns. Brian Shaw, Andrew Schroeder on row 4. Row 5, Peter Hodgson and Mike Pittman. Jason Miz, Garrett Velzy, Jeremy Gibbs, Danny Lawson, Darrell Rector, Taylor Toller, Alan Martin all remain on the lead lap. Donnell Williams, Evan Kelsey, and Andrew Chapman all having been in the pits, and looks like Williams just getting back out onto the racetrack, as is Evan Kelsey. So only Andrew Chapman, the car remaining on the pit road. His green flag goes back in the air. We're underway once again, and this is going to be a short dash to the finish of stage 1.
Teammates working together on the restart, or as Joey Logano once called it in a previous broadcast, a little bit of the okie dokie.
Yes. Huh. You wonder how much that comes into play in the sim racing world. In the real world, the big difference is, now, obviously we can talk to each other. The drivers can sit in the same Discord or TeamSpeak server and communicate that way. But you'll be giving hand signals and really able to tell your teammates what the car's doing that way. It is a little bit of real world acting, or the virtual world acting like the real thing.
Yeah, well said. Wow. Jeff Converse almost smacked that wall. God.
He's still way out of
did.
sorts.
Oh, he did, yeah.
Yeah, he pancaked the wall pretty darn hard. Let's take a look here.
She's dead, Jim.
There we go. Now we'll get you the look here. There's Jeff Converse. Okay, yeah, he's already hit the wall at that point, but he's got a big-time handful, and unfortunately that's not where he wants that car to be running right now. Down to 5 to go in stage number 1, and we've got a new race leader. Jason Miz heads out to the front of the field. Christian Converse going to hold on to second. Wendell Elliott, Cody Henderson, Robert Thorns, your top 5. Several hard chargers in this race. Brian Shaw's up 11 spots to run in the 7th position. Danny Lawson up 8 to 12th. Mike Pittman Jr., Peter Hodgson both up 7 apiece. Wendell Elliott, Cody Henderson up 6 apiece. You can definitely tell who's got the car hooked up, who's pretty confident in their equipment right now.
And you can also see what new tires means. Jason Miz pitted on that last restart, and he rocketed up the field. They got nothing for him right now. That just shows how good the fresh tires really are.
And it's kind of surprising that nobody else has been able to make that same move. Darrell Rector, Danny Lawson, Jeremy Gibbs, they're all hiding out there towards the back of the pack. You almost wonder, does it become, if you make the stop at lap 20, have you committed yourself to now you have to fuel save the rest of the way?
I feel like that potentially, plus I wouldn't be surprised with some of the others that came in if they're just kind of putting around saving their stuff for when the stage ends, so that when the cars that haven't come in, they're not losing too much time to those fresher tires because they still saved a lot on theirs. Where Jason Miz clearly wants the stage points and the playoff point, even though he's not in the playoffs, and is just going balls to the wall. Where Darrell Rector and some of them that pitted with a little more prove, they feel the need to save their stuff for after the stage caution.
Seeing Peter Hodgson coming down pit lane here. Little bit of a strategy call for Hodgson, as he knows the caution's going to fly as soon as Jason Miz gets around. The question is he going to be able to get off of pit lane without losing the lap? He will not.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think Petey Pop will be able to get that right.
Lap number 31. Caution flag is out. Jason Miz gets the win in stage number 1. Christian Converse, Wendell Elliott, Cody Henderson, and Robert Thorns, your top 5. 6 through 10 will belong to Nathan Aldrich, Brian Shaw, Andrew Schroeder, Danny Lawson, and Darrell Rector. Race leaders making their way down pit road. And it looks like everybody will be coming in, including, everybody on the lead lap making their way down pit road.
Well, this works out for Hodgson because he's going to be able to take the wave around and get back on the lead lap. I don't understand what his end game was for that move, but at least, provided I'm correct, it shouldn't affect too much and he'll still be on the lead lap.
Looks like a fuel-only stop for Jason Miz, 8.45 seconds. On the stop, Christian Converse going to be the second car off of pit road, 14.8 seconds for 4 Goodyear Racing Eagles, Toucan Sunoco fuel. Wendell Elliott, Cody Henderson, Brian Shaw making up your top 5. Robert Thorns lost 2 positions in the transaction there on pit road. 14 cars remain on the lead lap here at the end of stage number 1. So there you see the 64 of Peter Hodgson. Hill will get to take the wave around. Come around to the back end of the lead lap. Christian Converse started to sell the dummy a little bit here. It's not a lot, but when you consider the fact that you have to plan for the green-white checkered finishes that you could have, lap 31 stop means you would stop at a maximum of lap 71, which will be into the final stage. They should be able to go the entirety of stage 2 without a stop. You stop at 71, that's a stop at 111. That gets you exactly to lap 150. That doesn't leave you any wiggle room in terms of green-white checkered finishes. And now, really at this point, is when you're going to start counting the race backwards almost.
Yeah, and you start asking yourself, do you feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? Does that count as a gambling cliche for Vegas or
yes,
not?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Darn it. All right, everyone take a drink when we make a gambling pun at Vegas. Drink.
Yes, any Clint Eastwood, John Wayne references, yeah, that all counts towards the drinking game here tonight. And I'll tell you what, though, I mean, we're down to 2 laps or 1 lap to go here, so we'll come back to green this time by. Looking at lap number, it's going to be lap 35 when we go back to green. These drivers probably will not have burned off all that much in the way of fuel between popping the car out into neutral, or at least having the clutch in, shutting the car off, that kind of stuff. It should be pretty darn close to full fuel run here for the duration of stage 2.
Yeah, especially if you're being smart and trying to shut the car off and save that little bit extra.
Into turn number 3, Jason Miz, Christian Converse will be on road number 1. Wendell Elliott, Cody Henderson on road 2. Brian Shaw, Nathan Aldrich, row 3. Robert Thorns, Andrew Schroeder, row 4. Daryl Rector, Danny Lawson on the 5th row. Pace car is going to make the hard left-hand turn, and we'll give you folks at home a chance to crank it up. Lap number 37 goes up on the scoreboard. And we're going to have a new race leader, Wendell Elliott, heading the field ahead of Cody Henderson. Christian Converse back to the 3rd position. Brian Shaw, Jason Miz, Nathan Aldrich, now your top 6. And tell you what here, James, Miz is absolutely showing the effects of not taking tires under that pit stop.
And that was like not even 10 laps worth of running, and he's falling like a rock.
Yeah, it was basically 2 laps of green flag running, and Miz has already fallen back to the 6th position. Now, this is where the strategy game comes into play, though. By not taking tires here, Miz is keeping one in the bank for later in the race. Whether that's a late race caution or a final pit stop. Somewhere along the way, I would imagine just about everybody may go through that same strategy call.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what all these drivers do with this information in their pocket now.
At the sharp end of the field, Wendell Elliott and Cody Henderson going to stay within a car length or so. We've already got lap number 40 up on the board. I'm not sure if it's JC or Jackie. I'm sorry if I've been mispronouncing your name all season. But checking in with a little love for Cody Henderson.
I've seen some weirdly spelled names in my life, but I'm pretty sure that's pronounced JC going by the spelling. But I've been wrong before.
Here's Miz with Robert Thorns now to the outside. The 54 of Danny Lawson is right there as well. Very Michael Waltrip DEI look there on the 54 machine. Everybody at the front of the field single filed out. Back through sixth place, Andrew Schroeder. This is the first side-by-side battle between Miz and Thorns. But it shows you how much faster of a race car Miz has had this entire race. It took him several laps to get clear of Robert Thorns there, who did have, 30-lap newer tires. Speed is not everything, is my point.
Mm-hmm. You would be correct.
Spoken like a guy who has no speed nor pace on the iRacing platform. Christian Converse looking to the inside of Cody Henderson. That 81 of Brian Shaw. Nathan Aldridge going to be there as well. Converse may see himself shuffled out towards the back as Shaw is able to clear for the third position. And Converse is going to have Nathan Aldridge all over his back bumper as they get to one. Lap times have slowed down by about a half second or so from where these drivers started this race. 29.92, the best lap time for race leader Wendell Elliott. 30.46 was his last lap across the start-finish line. As Cody Henderson going to look inside. He wants a piece of the race lead. Wendell Elliott. Oh, he may have gotten into the outside wall off it, too.
I don't think so. I think he pulled the elevator. He was trying to get that back.
Shaw Elliott and Christian Converse going to duel into 1 and 2. And I tell you what here, James, this is one of those, I love the way the High Slide Cup Series has laid out their individual races here. By making the stages 30, the first two stages 30 laps, you can get to the end of stage 1, run it totally balls to the wall, try to gain as many spots as possible. You can do the exact same thing in stage number 2 because you're still going to have 4 or 5 laps left until you have to make your second pit stop.
Real life NASCAR copying High Slide Cup Series win.
It's an interesting thought process. Like I said, it allows for really aggressive driving if you want to be aggressive. And at the same time, you can play the strategy game. And I mean, we've seen Nick Locker do it multiple times this season where it seems like he's putting around at the back, and lo and behold, when it turns into a fuel mileage race late, there's Nick Locker. When it's not a fuel mileage race, Lockard saved up his stuff. He's got an extra set of tires in the box, and he's in contention.
Yeah, he just seems to be the king of winning on strategy. It's impressive to see what he does and to pull it off so flawlessly.
Coming around, Evan Kelsey, who was involved in the first incident of the night. Cody Henderson takes the race lead, but you wonder now here, everybody's sitting single file. Is this going to be a draft party now and ride this out to the end of the stage?
Yeah, nothing really to be gained at this point, driving like a crazy person.
Cody Henderson definitely wants the playoff point as much as he wants the stage points here, because if he's able to advance, that will carry with him into the next round of the playoffs. Brian Shaw up there playing spoiler. And not the giant-ass spoilers on the back of the car, but... Wendell Elliott, Christian Converse, Nathan Aldrich all holding right in line. You have to go about a second back of the race leader to find Andrew Schroeder. This almost has the look of Shaw starting to set up where the pass is going to come. He looks inside through 3 and 4, but I don't think he's close enough to clear him here. But now Cody Henderson's kind of got it in the back of his head. He won't hesitate to dive it inside of me. Converse to the outside of Shaw for turn number 2. He completes the pass. Wendell Elliott not able to do the same, however. Elliott may be able to get the car wound up on the outside of the racetrack. We'll see what he does down the front straightaway here. Again, not close enough, and no drafting help from teammate Christian Converse either, as the 14 and 8th and Aldrich sticks on the bumper of the 81. Only 33 minutes into this race, and we're rapidly approaching the conclusion of stage number 2. Still Cody Henderson out front. We'll slide back in the pack a little bit here. Find Jason Miz, who's just lost the position to Garrett Velzy. Now Miz runs back in the 10th position. He saved himself a set of tires, and maybe that's part of the strategy call is, at this point, I don't need the stage win. I don't need the stage points. Maybe set yourself up to have that extra set of sneakers when you need them late in the race.
Yeah, he's not in the playoffs, so it's basically win or nothing for him at this point.
Miz going to look down to the inside of Garrett Velzy, down the Nellis straightaway. And this is where Jason Miz is now really in hold on for dear life territory, is he's working 57 lap old tires. Three and a half laps to go here in stage number 2. Cody Henderson, Christian Converse, Wendell Elliott, Brian Shaw, Nathan Aldrich, your top 5. Henderson doing a nice job of holding on to that top spot.
Ooh,
Christian Converse
big bizzle.
gives him a little bit of a shove down into turn 1. The first of the Teddy Christopher bumps. The first one says, hello, I'm here. The second one says, you better move. The third one isn't so much of a bump as it is a full punterino into wherever the nearest wall surface is. Wendell Elliott gives a nice shove to teammate Christian Converse. Gets the 19 car up to the point. Elliott not able to follow through, and we'll see if Henderson returns the favor here. Henderson really dives it off into turn number 1. He's going to tuck up right on the bumper, get a great draft down the back straightaway. One lap to go now in stage number 2. It is all Christian Converse by 5 car lengths as they get to turn number 1. Wendell Elliott getting up on the back bumper at Cody Henderson. Converse ran it way up against the safer barrier. And again, no caution flag here at the lap 60 conclusion of stage 2. Unless the caution happens organically. We'll say it that way. They thought about trying to make one happen right there as Wendell Elliott gets to the inside. He claims second in stage number 2. Christian Converse will be your stage winner in stage number 2. Burnt Out Apparel on the side of that number 19 machine. Cody Henderson runs in the second position, but he's side by side with Wendell Elliott. Nathan Aldrich, Brian Shaw, Andrew Schroeder, Darrell Rector, Robert Thorns, Jason Miz, Garrett Velzy. The 10 cars that will score points there at the end of stage number 2. Aldrich trying to give Henderson a shove back towards the front. We are now anticipating pit stops anywhere between now and lap 70 or so. That'll put you in the window. You need to get to lap 70, where the stop would occur at lap number 71, in order to put yourself to 110. Then that would be the stop at 111. That's going to get you to 150. We'll see if anybody's going to be able to make it that far, and that's really going to give us our best indication of who's where and what we think that number is going to be that you have to make in terms of fuel. Cody Henderson, Brian Shaw side by side. They came out of turn number 4 that way. They go side by side through 1 and 2. Henderson finally able to grab the position away. Top 3 have all settled in. This is a look back in the pack here. Donnell Williams and Peter Hodgson, 13th and 14th. They're going to be battling side by side. Most of the middle of the pack has really started to settle themselves down, and in fact, we're even seeing it at the front here. There's Christian Converse. Wendell Elliott up to his outside. Nathan Aldrich staying in line as well. Really the top 5 all playing nicely. As Jason Miz hits pit road, there's a little bit of the answer. Miz stopping at lap 67. You wonder if this is almost the undercut strategy.
Yeah, that undercut is going to work to perfection without how much we've seen the tire fall off affect everyone else.
Crew's already finished work on the right-hand side. Left goes up in the air for Goodyear Racing Eagles. Toucan, Sunoco Fuel, Jason Miz down and away, 14.88 seconds. And obviously the Performance Sim Sport cars, I would imagine, are going to be talking. Jason Miz is not in the same Discord server as the rest of the Performance Sim Sport cars. So you kind of wonder if the strategy questions are, or discussions at least, are not totally making their way to Jason Miz. It is currently lap number 69. We would think that we would see pit stops at the end of the next lap. So basically you'd be coming in at lap number 71. And this is really the hard part now, because Jason Miz has gone a lap down. Now, he may be able to make it up once everybody else stops, but after a very strong stage number 1, not seeing a ton of pace out of the 24.
Yeah, he's hoping that it stays green.
Everybody else making us look like an absolute idiot once again here. Nice job, High Slide Cup Series drivers. They will stay out. Every lap you can make past lap 70 really is laps that you're building in for the green-white checkers here. And remember, Jason Miz did not stop he did not take tires, I should say, under the caution flag. So he was working, I mean, his stops, he ran 66 laps on a set of tires.
Oh, yep, we're starting to see some pit stops. Got some drivers reporting they're going to be coming in.
And
yep,
here
19
comes
in.
Your race leader, Christian Converse, making his way down pit road. You cannot have the speeding penalty. Big lockup on the way in. Grab the brakes hard again, too, in that first sector. We'll see. Does Christian Converse get a penalty? This happened 1 week ago and absolutely decimated his night. Converse has the first stall at the end of pit road. Cody Henderson making his way down for the pit stop, as well as is Garrett Velzy. Converse got away with it. He's down and away. 15.22 seconds. Time of the stop for Christian Converse. See when Wendell Elliott's going to make the trip down pit road here. It won't be this lap. This is a very long run.
With all the rest of the guys up front, any lap that you stay out, that's really going to screw you. And I don't think he can go far enough to really make an overcut work.
Oh, I think he may have run out of fuel. Way off. Yeah, you can hear it. Wendell Elliott is out of fuel down the back straightaway. Giving up a ton of time. A 43 lap run. So 42, I guess, is the number of what you can make as your absolute maximum here, as we have not had a caution flag. Nathan Aldrich, Wendell Elliott, both on pit road, but Aldrich going to be down and away, and Elliott is only about 6 seconds into his pit stop. And you've got a new race leader, Jason Miz. Once again, strategy call to absolute perfection. He's going to be, we'll call it about 3.5 seconds ahead of Christian Converse, who runs into second position. I tell you what here, James, this is now really Jason Miz's race to lose.
Well, now the question is, what type of overcut is Converse going to get? Because Converse has about, 6-7 lap fresher tires?
He's got about 8 lap fresher tires.
Yeah, it may not seem like much of a difference, but considering how far back Miz fell after the stage break when he stayed out on only 8 lap fresher tires, and with him being a single car with no draft, it would not surprise me if we see Converse catch him up within the next 15-20 laps.
There's your best lap times. Jason Miz has the quickest lap of the race. When we take a look at what the gaps are, how about 3.8 seconds for Jason Miz? Back to Christian Converse. And I tell you what here, James, we really don't have anything resembling a battle here on the racetrack right now. Andrew Schroeder and Wendell Scott is the tightest fight on the racetrack, or at least it was until Danny Lawson started to catch in on Donnell Williams. But you're talking about, this is gaps of 2/3 to 3/4 of a second separating these cars.
Yeah, that always happens, doesn't it? When you have a pack race and green flag pit stops, there always seems to be a significant gap between the cars after it's all said and done.
Wendell Elliott, Robert Thorns battling for the 7th position. Elliott able to clear. I would imagine he's not real happy here. So 43 laps is the absolute longest you can run one of these race cars based on where we saw Wendell Elliott run out of fuel. Keeping our eye on the pit windows now. Everybody, we think, can make it on one more stop. The only question may be Jason Miz, who stopped at lap number 66. If he can get the 44 laps out of it, he makes it to lap 109. Then that puts him to lap 152. It gets you to the end. You're basically now, you have to have your last stop no earlier than lap 107. And I'll tell you what here, James, but Jason Miz may have absolutely nailed this strategy call.
Yeah, if this thing stays green, we may see a repeat of the end of Charlotte.
Yeah, without the question of fuel. We were under the impression that fuel would be an issue. The reality was it wasn't anywhere close in terms of what the fuel mileage was. Cody Henderson, Nathan Aldridge battling off at 2. And, I mean, we're in 25 laps here of log the laps and see how the rest of the race plays out here. That could be the rest of this race, for that matter. let's get you the full field rundown as we work 85 laps complete here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Jason Miz is your race leader, up 2 spots from the drop of the green flag. On a different pitch strategy to everybody else in the field here. And the gap is shrinking as this man, the number 19 of Christian Converse, starts to close in on his Performance Sim Sport teammate. Converse was your pole sitter here this evening. Only about 2.5 seconds to reclaim that top spot. Nathan Aldrich runs third. He's up 3 from where he started, the Procore number 14 machine. On a similar anyway pitch strategy to Christian Converse. He stopped at lap number 75. Converse stopping at lap 72. Just behind is Cody Henderson. He's up 6 spots from the drop of the green flag earlier here tonight. Henderson's had a good run. How about Garrett Velzy with a great run? All by himself out on the racetrack logging laps. Up 14 positions from where Garrett Velzy started this evening in the 19th position. Way towards the back of the pack. One of those positions came courtesy of the 51 of Darrell Rector. Rector was fastest in practice before the session. Qualified pretty well, but he's down 4 spots since the race started here this evening. Wendell Elliott ran out of fuel before he came into the pits at lap number 75. That's what put him back in the pack. Is Elliott's had a fantastic night. That number 4 machine has been very, very quick all race long. The South Park number 36, Robert Thorns, runs in the 8th position, and he'll have to battle with Andrew Schroeder in one of the few battles for position on the racetrack right now. Thorns is down 3 spots. Schroeder is up 2. And rounding out the top 10, guy who's up 8 positions from the drop of the green flag, Brian Shaw. That 81 machine looked very, very quick throughout this race. Now it may just be a bit of pit strategy that's got him caught out. Sliding back in the pack, we've got Danelle Williams, Peter Hodgson, Danny Lawson in the fight for 12th, 13th, and 14th. Gap is closing in a hurry at the front of the field. There's Jason Miz, and there's teammate Christian Converse just entering the shot you saw right on the right-hand side of your screen. Converse, just a handful of laps ago, this lead was over 3 seconds. Converse going to catch right back in, and James, this is probably where patience has to become a pretty important part of your skill set behind the wheel. You know you've got fresher tires. You may even think you're faster. It's just a matter of executing the pass correctly.
Yeah, you don't want to use your trump card too early and burn your stuff off, and then you're just sitting there screwed. He's got the ball in this court now. And as we say that, he's already looking to the side and passed. Okay, well, that was much ado about nothing.
A gambling pun with the trump card reference and the cliche all in one sentence. Take a shot if you're playing the drinking game at home.
Drink.
So Christian Converse reclaims the race lead, lap number 94 of 150. Captain Picard checking in on YouTube. Watching these strategic races is really thrilling. Anything can happen. Stay disciplined. That last part of that might be the most important, James. If you've laid out a strategy of this is when I'm coming in, unless the caution flag flies, it's really important to stick to that strategy. You know the math is going to work. You just have to trust that the race is going to play out in your favor.
And it's really easy to get discouraged and be like, should I pit now? Should I? Am I sure this is going to work? You don't want to be sitting at the end of the race going, man, if I had just stuck with my gut, had I not changed my answer, I might have ended up with something better.
Keeping our eye on where everybody is on the racetrack. If the race leaders were to stop now, they would come out behind Michael Pittman Jr. in the battle for the lucky dog, which really only comes into play while you're cycling through the pit stops. But for someone like Jason Miz, that really is the Paul Tracy danger zone of running the undercut strategy, is you've got a long time where you could be buried and stuck a lap down.
Good gracious, you want to talk about the ultimate cliche. If I start singing Kenny Loggins, will I get us in trouble?
You'll get fired and banned from the broadcast, I can tell you that much. Christian.
So you could say that doing that would put me in the danger zone.
Oh, my goodness. Taking my breath away over here, James. Fantastic stuff. Christian Converse holding on to now 3/4 of a second, or just about anyway, 3/4 of a second over Jason Miz. Nathan Aldrich, about, we'll call it 2 and change seconds back here. So we see Danny Lawson making his way down pit road.
I was gonna say, was I high or did I see smoke?
Possibly, and I don't know what you've consumed this evening, but you did see smoke. Lawson over 22 seconds in the pits. If he was gonna try the undercut and make the fuel gamble last to the end, it's going to blow up in his face right here, because he is going to be sitting on pit road for an extended period of time. May even be a bit of a damage repair on that car. Trying to get you a look at it here, but Lawson over 54 seconds of pit stop time.
If I had to guess with how the smoke was, he might have spun onto pit road and decided to take tires while getting slapped with an unsafe pit entry and a speeding on pit road.
Yeah, Lawson's still sitting there over 1 minute and 15 seconds in penalty time here. There may even be some damage repair going on as well. Garrett Velzy, Darrell Rector, one of the tight battles here on the racetrack. And we're going to use the word tight relatively there. It's about 1/3 of a second between Velzy and Rector. Call it 4 car lengths as they come off turn number 4. Lap number 102 going up on the scoreboard.
Yep, I have found the replay. 54 went up into the wall, bounced off of it, went through the infield, and just decided to take a rest box.
Yeah, that may be the end of the night there for Danny Lawson, depending on how much repair time that car is going to need. As a driver here now, James, you're running these, very long stints. In fact, we saw this just yesterday with the Briss Mons race, where drivers were doing hour-long stints and very long runs. Do you sort of have to mentally psych yourself up for the pit stop that's coming? Like, okay, check, make sure the brakes are good, be ready, don't speed. Do you almost talk yourself up to make the pit stop happen, right?
Yeah, you're, especially in times like this, where you're just kind of putting around by yourself. You're just like, I'm so bored. So when it's time to get focused, it can be a struggle, especially when the slightest mistake absolutely tanks your night.
I mean, just take a look at Wendell Elliott. By trying to stretch one extra lap out of the tank of fuel, he's lost 12 seconds to the race leaders and is very much in a position to get caught a lap down, depending on how the pit stop cycles work their way out.
Yeah, there was a lot of people that are wanting a caution.
There's the intervals to the cars ahead, a car behind. If it's in white, they're not even in the same zip code as one another. The only other battle on the racetrack is a little bit further back in the pack. That's going to be Andrew Schroeder fighting with Brian Shaw in the battle for the 9th position. But they're not all that close. Darrell Rector, Garrett Belzy, on the other hand, are absolutely tight with each other. In fact, Rector just coming around Belzy. Get you the Hot Shoe Raceway instant replay here as Belzy ran the high line through 1 and 2. Rector able to complete the pass easily down the back straightaway. There's your first answer. Jason Miz is on pit road. Miz coming in for the stop here at lap 107. That will get him exactly to lap 150. Miz down and away, 14.93 seconds on the stop.
He ain't playing around with the undercut, that's for sure.
No, he's, like you said, if you're going to commit to the strategy, you got to play it out and just trust that it's going to play out in your favor. Here's Darrell Rector, Garrett Belzy, and Wendell Elliott running 4th, 5th, and 6th on the racetrack right now. 107 does get you to lap 150. I would imagine you're probably going to want to get it closer to 110, maybe 112 before you really think about the undercut, because that's going to guarantee you that you're good the rest of the way on fuel.
Yeah, I wonder if he would have been better off waiting a lap, because now you have that doubt. You don't really want to.
I don't know that he could wait. The number that we're basing off of was an absolute maximum number of laps. As Cody Henderson just absolutely getting freight trained here. I'm not sure if Cody didn't make some contact with the wall here. Let's take a look and see if we can get a look at Cody Henderson. See if there's any damage on that number 710 machine. He very quickly fell backwards from 3rd to 5th. Haven't seen any contact yet. Still trying to keep an eye out here for where the 710 may have had an issue. Don't really see anything. We're going to go back to the live look because here is your race leader, Christian Converse. Again, a lockup just past the pit commitment cone. Stop coming at lap 113, and I guess if you're the race leader, that's the best way to protect against the undercut, is be the undercut yourself. Wendell Elliott, Garrett Belzy, Andrew Schroeder also on the pit lane. That'll promote Nathan Aldrich to the race lead. He's got 7 seconds over Darrell Rector, but Aldrich, well, I thought may have been coming into the pits here, but he stays out on the racetrack. And this will be the final stops of the night here, barring a late race caution. There's your race leader, Nathan Aldrich. He's making his way down the pit road. That's going to give Cody Henderson the race lead. Left side going up for Aldrich. Once again, 4 Goodyear Racing Eagles. Packet full of Sunoco fuel. He's down and away. 15.05 seconds. Now Cody Henderson going to make his way down the pit road. Not seeing any damage there on the 710 machine. We'll see how long the stop lasts for. Again, no backup cars this evening. Cody Henderson's going to get in, hit his box. And how about it? After the strategy calls, Christian Converse, Jason Miz battling for the race lead. Call it 0.3 of a second. And Converse turns it into not much of a battle here. Miz going to slot in line. And we go right back to the Christian Converse show here at the front of the field. A couple other battles we have out here on the racetrack. Darrell Rector and Garrett Velzy separated by 1/4 of a second. Rector runs in the 5th position. Nice run for Velzy in 6th. He's up 13 spots from where he started this race. And say what you want about where the finishes may have been. Garrett Velzy gets a ton out of his race cars week in and week out. He's always towards the top of the list of the hard chargers.
Yeah, he's just one of those great drivers that just really flies under the radar and really gets a lot more than I think some people would think he's really capable of. It's really great to see.
And he does a darn fine job running the league as well. Andrew Schroeder, Brian Shaw battling for the 9th position. Shaw almost got into the back of Schroeder. How about 1 hour, 8 minutes, and 38 seconds? And we've already made the final pit stops of the evening here for the High Slide Cup Series. Actually, we have one car that hasn't made his final stop yet. That's Evan Kelsey, involved in the first caution flag incident of the night. Currently running in the 16th position, 5 laps behind your race leader. Shaw looks a little inside, looks a little outside. Doing the dance there with Andrew Schroeder. Christian Converse has opened up the gap to just about 1 full second over Nathan Aldrich. Aldrich getting around Jason Miz in the battle for second here. Let's get you the Hot Shoe Race Tour instant replay on that one. Miz just got up and out of the way to the outside. You wonder if he doesn't have to save a little bit of fuel here to make it to the end.
I'm telling you, you really should have waited.
So now, here's where things start to get a little bit interesting. Lap 112 is where the majority of your front runners stopped, including Christian Converse. he should be okay on fuel. Our calculations say he can get out to a max of lap 155. However, if you're running by yourself without any even lap cars to try to get some drafting help from, you may have to do a little bit of fuel saving.
Yeah, because I'm basing off of what we saw for Wendell. He was in a pack and was able to have an opportunity to save. Christian has been up front pretty much the entire night. So he may have to. And Aldridge has been able to have the opportunity to save.
It'll be 25 laps to go. Next time by the start-finish line. What do you think here, race fans? One more time. We'll be quiet. You can go ahead and crank it up. Race leader Christian Converse comes over the start-finish line. 24 laps remaining here at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. He's already catching up to the fight for ninth between Brian Shaw and Andrew Schroeder. That number 19 machine has been absolutely spectacular here this evening. Nathan Aldrich running in the second position, and he is a full 5 seconds back of your race leader. Jason Miz has already lost 3 seconds to Aldrich, so I tend to think he is in a pretty heavy fuel conservation mode here for the 24. Wendell Elliott running 2.5 seconds behind Miz in the 4th position. Elliott having that issue where he ran out of fuel right before his second pit stop. Ultimately going to cost him about 12 seconds on the racetrack and maybe even 12 seconds away from a stop in victory lane. Darrell Rector 2 seconds behind Wendell Elliott. He's down 3 spots from the drop of the green flag tonight, but not a terrible points night here for the 51 of Darrell Rector. Garrett Velzy up up to the 6th position. We talked about the fact that he's up 13 positions in the Hard Charger Award standings. Mountain Dew Game Fuel on the side of that number 48 Chevrolet Camaro. Excuse me, running in the 7th position is Cody Henderson. He's up 3. Part of that fantastic row 5 we had tonight, lining up alongside Wendell Elliott. Running in the 8th position is Robert Thorns. He is down 3 in that South Park number 36 machine. Brian Shaw runs in 9th, just ahead of race leader Christian Converse. He's up 9 spots. It's been a good run so far for the 81. Must go lighting on the side of that machine, but ultimately maybe not the night he might have hoped for. And now the first car 1 lap down. In 10th is the 47 of Andrew Schroeder. JETS, Jets on the side of that number 47 machine. Watching the New England Patriots come around one more time. Put another lap on.
Ouch.
So outside of the broadcast team here, and let us know what you think in the comments here, viewers. do you want to see a caution right now? Who else on the racetrack here wants to see a caution? I mean, obviously you want to get bunched up, but at the same time, then it boils down to, do you have the tires left in the pit box? What do you do? Do you come in? Do you take fuel only? Do you not come in? At this point in the race, it really is sort of a no-brainer, I would think, at this point. Wendell Elliott getting up on the back bumper of Jason Miz, and he will easily make that pass down the back straightaway. If there was ever a time for it, now would be the moment for our French buddy, Jacques Debris, to make an appearance. As this is the only fight on the racetrack within 1.5 seconds of each other. And it really isn't much of a fight here, as Wendell Elliott in behind Donnell Williams in the 82. And Jason Miz really not able to put up too much of a fight either here, as lap number 136 is on the scoreboard.
You know, I was thrown for a loop when you mentioned Mr. Debris, because when you talked about our French colleague, I was thinking of our actual French colleague.
Yeah, Sebastian Kinder will be back on the air with us Thursday night for the Indy Pro 2000 Championship round number 7. Before that, we've got a ton of racing coming up for you here on the National Racing Network. Tomorrow night, it will be round number 7 for the Silver Crown Cup, coming up at 9:45 in the East. Tuesday night, 9 p.m. in the East, the Sprint Car Cup takes to the racetrack for their round number 7, and we follow it up with the crowning of Westshire as the champion of the TNT Carolina SimWorks Series. And that league will go on not an extended break, but a little bit of a break, as they're going to get their schedule lined up with the iRacing schedule. So Season 3 will basically kick off at iRacing Season 4 here in a few weeks. And some really neat stuff coming up for Tuesday nights with the TNT Series. You don't want to miss that discussion coming up on Tuesday night here. Wednesday, it'll be the High Side Hustle with Burt Wojcik and Adam Rubright. Thursday night, the Twin Bill, the Ezra IndyCar Series, followed by the Indy Pro 2000 Official Championship here on iRacing. Friday night, we're back to real-world racing action, Linda's Speedway, Jonestown, Pennsylvania. Coming up August 23rd, a huge night of racing from the West End Fair in Broadheadsville, Pennsylvania. I think 18 classes of karts, micro stocks, slingshots, you name it, will run during the West End Fair. If you are in and around anywhere near Eastern Pennsylvania, that show is absolutely fantastic every year. Make sure you check that one out, and we'll have live coverage of it right here on the National Racing Network. We're down to 10 laps to go. Christian Converse, long gone. 7 3/4 seconds almost. Up on Nathan Aldrich. And Converse has been very content to sit here in behind Brian Shaw, making the fuel number work. Now the question becomes, do we see a caution late in this race? Cody Henderson able to get around Garrett Velzy for the 6th position. Oh, Velzy flips the apron. Oh, man, he was almost the caution. That car got very loose right after Cody Henderson came around. JC Henderson checking in the comments saying, exciting last laps would be nice, but I don't want anybody to crash. We might be okay with it, depending on who it is and how and where. I mean, I'm not saying we want team orders or anything here, but if it's good for the old Renault F1 team, I mean, why not here in the High Slide Cup Series?
Unfortunately, I don't think Flavio Briatore is running a team in this league.
Oh, there you go. High Slide Cup Series drivers. Who would be your Flavio Briatore? I almost tend to think that's me. Old, fat, overweight, with a smoking hot wife. That might be me, actually. Christian Converse, your race leader, 7 to go. In fact, make it 6 to go as he comes across the start-finish line. He may have to make the move to get around Brian Shaw here. As they're catching up on Evan Kelsey, who runs in the 15th position. Multiple laps down after the early incident here. Kelsey's up and out of the way through 3 and 4. And I will say this, James, we may have given Christian a little bit of a hard time for how he was handling his systems warm-up in qualifying. He did not need that one bit. That car has been the class of the field by a pretty wide margin here tonight.
Yeah, he's had some really bad luck this whole season. And we've just been kind of waiting and waiting for all that to clear up and finally get the win. And barring an unforeseen disaster, I think this is finally his time.
Yeah, and the playoffs is not when you want to see that kind of driver get hot. If you're one of his competitors here in the High Slide Cup Series, the last thing you want to see is Nick Lockard, Greg Holt, and Christian Converse all getting hot at the same time in the playoffs here. It'll be 2 laps to go. Twin sticks at the start-finish line for Christian Converse. Performance Sim Sport on the back bumper. Burnt out apparel all over the sides and hood of that machine. Burnt out's what the rest of the field's going to be, trying to chase him down. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go for Christian Converse. Cleanly off of turn number 2. He has 8 seconds over Nathan Aldrich. This one will not be a contest. Off of turn number 4. Checkered flag is in the air, and Christian Converse picks up the win at Las Vegas. Nathan Aldrich going to come home in second. There's Wendell Elliott. He'll round out your podium. A season of consistency absolutely playing into his hands. Darrell Rector and Cody Henderson make up your top 5. Absolutely dominant performance here tonight out of Christian Converse. Get your race results as Christian Converse absolutely burns the house down. The winner by 8 seconds over Nathan Aldrich, Wendell Elliott, Darrell Rector, and Cody Henderson complete your top 5. 6 through 10, Garrett Velzy, Robert Thorns, Brian Shaw, Jason Miz, and Andrew Schroeder. Jeremy Gibbs will finish in the 11th position, 12th to Peter Hodgson, 13th, Danelle Williams, 14th, Michael Pittman Jr. Evan Kelsey completes the top 15 finishers here this evening. Alan Martin, Danny Lawson, Jeff Converse, Taylor Toller, and Andrew Chapman will round out the field. But with that, we'll get ready to kick off our Victory Lane interviews here in just a moment with your third place finisher here this evening. Going to chat here with Wendell Elliott, and I tell you what, Wendell, that car was pretty darn good tonight, but ultimately this was about survive and advance to the next round of the playoffs.
Yes, sir. I was just trying to survive. When I run out of gas, I killed myself. I run out of gas. I tried to stretch it just a pinch longer and run out of gas on that second pit stop.
I was gonna ask you about that, because the first thought is you want to try to see how far you can make that gap run, or the stint run, I guess you would say, and ultimately it comes back to bite you. Tonight it seemed like the undercut may have been the strategy play anyway. Did the thought cross your mind to kind of change strategies mid-race, or were you guys just kind of locked in?
Locked in. I was kind of just riding, just locked in, do the best I could,
Well, it should not.
I'm not real good at an interviewer.
Yeah, you know what? This should have you locked in to the next round of the playoffs, and ultimately that really was the goal here this evening. Now you got a pretty good baseline for what's coming up later in the season, considering we finish at Chicagoland and Texas.
Yeah, I like Pocono. Pocono's I think Pocono's next week.
Yep.
Yeah, I love Pocono. So
kick off
maybe
the next round of the playoffs.
Maybe can capitalize on that on a win there. Need one bad.
All right, there you go, Wendell. Congratulations again on the podium finish here tonight. Who do you want to thank?
Thank you. Appreciate my wife for letting me race tonight. Takes a couple hours of her time away from her, so I want to appreciate that.
All right, bud. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate your time here, and let's get our runner-up finisher here, Nathan Aldrich. And I'll tell you what, Nathan, that was a hell of a run tonight there for that number 14 machine.
Yeah, it kind of came out of nowhere for me, but Vegas is where I got my first high side win, so it's a favorite of mine.
This is one of those races where it seemed like everybody may have been battling for best in class when you saw what Christian was able to do at the front of the field. Was there anything different that you could have done with the race car, either in setup or, strategy during the race, whatever, that may have been able to put you into a position to fight with him, or was he just too good tonight?
No, he's chasing his Road to Pro license right now, so there's not much you can do against that. That's just talent.
Yeah, sometimes you just got to know when you're getting whooped and be ready to take it. Well, congratulations on the runner-up finish there tonight, Nathan. Who do you want to thank?
John Garrett for putting on an awesome league, and any of our league sponsors, you guys with the broadcast. That's about it.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you very much. Look forward to talking to you more, and let's bring in the man of the hour here. Nathan's talking about you being on the road to pro. I'll tell you what, you're on the road to potentially winning a High Slide Cup Series championship if you keep dominating races like that.
Yeah, I finally got one. The bad luck for me finally came to an end, at least for now. I mean, I kind of went through a little drought where I wasn't winning at all, and it took a little break, came back, and the last 2 races I've raced, I've won, so break helped me.
I was going to say, that was one of those performances tonight where all the bad luck. I mean, we've talked about it this season. If there was any luck, it was going to be bad luck for you. What is that like mentally, where you just hit a point that you go, I got to walk away from this. This is not fun anymore.
Well, it kind of worked out perfect because I went on vacation last week, so I kind of used that as I need a break, and it worked out. I mean, I really was just at the point where I didn't even feel like running, and I really didn't care when I got wrecked, which I knew that was not a good thing. But I'm feeling pretty good now, obviously, because I just won. But
I would say you're feeling good, and I would imagine very confident here because we're going to see a couple of more 1.5 miles as we work our way through, including the final 2 races of this season where we're going to get ready to crown a champion here at Texas. That's got to be a pretty huge momentum boost, knowing even from, setup department and all that kind of stuff, you guys are right there now.
yeah, I mean, I'm usually pretty good. 1.5 miles are usually the best thing I'm at. I'm pretty decent everywhere, really. But I mean, I really feel comfortable 1.5 miles usually. I love Las Vegas, so I mean, it just kind of worked out.
All right, Christian. Well, congratulations once again on the win here, locking yourself into the next round of the playoffs. Who do you want to thank?
The broadcast team, Garrett for running the league, Andrew for being an admin, everyone out of the Russian, Dad, Grandma, Mom, everybody.
All right, buddy. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate the time there, Christian. And I'll tell you what here, James, that was not the race I was expecting to see by any stretch.
Yeah, it was a complete polar opposite to some of the ones we've seen on 1.5 miles, and it was kind of refreshing in all honesty.
Yeah, I mean, we went into this race kind of expecting to see a bunch of pack racing, a bunch of really tight competition, and we saw things start to separate out after the first set of green flag pit stops. And when you don't have caution flags in these NASCAR Cup Series stock cars, the little bits that you gain and lose on and off a pit road just magnifies exponentially when you get out back on the racetrack.
Yeah, and it falls down to who's the most experienced and who's the best on getting on pit road. And we've seen Christian struggle with that a few times this season, but he was finally able to put it together and just put a hurt on everyone.
Yeah, he was absolutely spectacular here this evening. But with that, we'll wrap up our coverage here, the High Slide Cup Series, for their final round of the first round of the playoffs, if that makes any sense. For James Watson, my name is Chris Graham. It has been a pleasure to have you hanging out with us here on this Sunday night. We will talk to you tomorrow with the Silver Crowns. Have a good night, everybody.